I'm outside the Ministry of Defence in London because I want to get answers about why Keir Starmer keeps sending military surveillance flights over Gaza and sharing that intelligence with Israel. Who better to get those answers from than the head of the British military himself, Admiral Sir Tony Radakin. We've seen that he's due to speak in Parliament later today, and there's a chance that he might just walk out of the Ministry of Defence behind me and head over there on foot. I know it's unlikely. There's probably tunnels below our feet, or he could be whisked away in an armoured vehicle. But it's a lovely sunny day here in London, and I've got a hunch that he might just decide to walk along the embankment by the river and into Parliament that way. So let's see how this goes. Let's see if we can finally get answers to these questions that I know many of you have as well, about why Britain keeps spying for Israel when its Prime Minister is wanted by the International Criminal Court. So we'll just look like we're doing a piece to camera here outside Scotland Yard. Okay.
When?
Admiral Radakin, Chief of the Defence Staff, lovely to meet you today. I'm a journalist from Declassified UK. We've been trying for months to get answers about the Royal Air Force surveillance flights that you're sending over Gaza and the intelligence that you're sharing with Israel. Have you got any comment on those that you can give to us?
To a public accounts committee hearing, and I don't really have time for this conversation. Thank you.
I understand, but this is a matter of the gravest importance. Israel's Prime Minister is wanted by the International Criminal Court for war crimes. Are you going to tell the Public Accounts Committee how much these flights are costing the public, at the bare minimum? Do you have concerns about sharing intelligence with the Prime Minister of a country that's wanted by the International Criminal Court, Admiral? Is this why you joined the military, sir? Are you a disgrace to your uniform? Do you have trouble sleeping at night, seeing the images coming out from Gaza, knowing that you're sharing intelligence with the military, which is... We're journalists, we're allowed to ask questions of the Chief of the Defence Staff. We're here with Britain's most senior military official. He's on his way to Parliament, but he won't answer questions from the press about why the Royal Air Force has sent over 500 surveillance flights over Gaza since December 2023. He won't tell us how much those cost, even though he's going to a Public Accounts Committee to talk about the defence budget. And he won't tell us why he keeps sharing intelligence with Israel, a country that's being investigated for genocide, a country whose Prime Minister is wanted for war crimes, including the crime of starvation, by the International Criminal Court, and we are being pushed away from him by armed police who are escorting him into Parliament. How is this democratic, sir? Why won't you answer these basic questions about what the Royal Air Force is doing over Gaza and the intelligence it's sharing with Israel? Do you routinely share intelligence with countries whose leaders are wanted for war crimes by the International Criminal Court, Admiral? Are you a participant in Israel's genocide, Admiral? Do you have blood on your hands, Admiral? How can you sleep at night knowing that you're sharing intelligence with a country whose Prime Minister is wanted for war crimes by the International Criminal Court? These are legitimate questions. Why aren't journalists being allowed to ask you these questions? Why are we being blocked by police with tasers from asking you these questions, Admiral? What are you trying to hide about the intelligence that you've been sharing with Israel? So that was Admiral Radakin, the Chief of the Defence Staff, Britain's most senior military officer, who's just gone into Parliament behind me to answer questions from the Public Accounts Committee about the defence budget. But he won't answer questions from MPs and from the press about how much the Royal Air Force has spent on over 500 surveillance flights over Gaza and the intelligence that's been shared with Israel, a country whose Prime Minister is wanted for war crimes by the International Criminal Court, including for the crime of starvation in Gaza, where the World Food Programme says it's now run out of aid. Israel is deliberately blocking aid from going into Gaza. The UK has stopped some arms sales to Israel because of those concerns, and yet daily intelligence sharing has continued between the Royal Air Force and Israel. And yet when we try and put these questions to Admiral Radakin, we were being blocked there by the police.
With the Admiral ushered through security, I went back to our office to catch my breath and watch a live stream of what he said to MPs about the military budget. I suspect he had hoped for a leisurely stroll to Parliament, but my questions had forced him to rush down the road wearing a heavy suit and hat on a hot spring day. He still looked visibly unsettled at the start of the committee hearing and seemed relieved to face a much softer line of questioning.
How do you want to be addressed? Shall I call you CDS, Admiral,
Admiral Radakin, how would you like to be addressed?
To be honest, Chair, whatever you want, but Admiral or CDS might be more appropriate.
As expected, none of the politicians asked him about the spy flights over Gaza, focusing instead on Ukraine and NATO.
So if you're going to be in a gun club, it's quite handy to be in the most powerful ever military gun club.
If the Admiral had chosen to answer my questions, he probably would have given me the standard line that the spy flights are looking for hostages held by Hamas. But as we've shown repeatedly at Declassified, there are good reasons to doubt this is all they are doing, which I would have liked to discuss with Admiral Radakin if he'd engaged. Why, for instance, did the flights continue throughout the ceasefire, including on days when we could see hostages being freed on live television? And why, after Netanyahu broke the ceasefire, which was by far the most effective way of getting people released, did the flights continue, even as Israel deliberately starves Gaza? Why won't the Ministry of Defence release its spy footage of Gaza from the day 3 British aid workers, all of them military veterans, were killed by Israel? And what intelligence from the spy flights was shared with Israel's military before one of their only successful hostage rescue operations, in which over 200 Palestinians were killed? These are questions we will keep asking at Declassified, because the politicians who sit on these powerful committees and the establishment journalists who have access to the corridors of power aren't going to ask them for you. But to do this, we need your support. So please subscribe to our channel, share this video, and donate to Declassified if you can. Thanks for watching.
We've been trying for months to get answers about the Royal Air Force surveillance flights that you're sending over Gaza.